Black Feniks checking in. Right now I'm inside of the shop and I'm trying to get things lined out, and I wanted to talk to you about getting positioned for greatness. And I want to say it like that because we know about the process. We understand that there is a process to greatness, like there is a process to everything that you're trying to do. But then there's also getting positioned for that process. So that way you can get in front of the people and around the people that you really need to get around in order to network and build what you're trying to build. Sometimes it's a ideal of not really knowing the full process. Thank you, TT. Of not really knowing the full process. And so what we do is we tend to complain about each levels, but each level, it gets us positioned to go through the process and ready for the greatness and the level that we got to go to. So it's kind of like every stage you go through is preparing you, it's positioning you, you know, and you don't even understand the people that is getting positioned in your life at that time and at that moment. You don't even understand it. Like, you don't even see it. All you're focusing on at that time is working on yourself, working on your craft, building your business, going through issues, working with family. Like, you're not focusing on getting positioned around the right people, but you're focusing on getting your life positioned so you can get around the right people. So I wanted to say that in order to get positioned for greatness, you have to be able to face a lot of things about yourself. You know, I had been around people growing up, and I used to say this, and I said, we got a saying that we say, a scared man can't make no money. And then we have another saying where we say that a petty person can't get rich. You know what I mean? So we have to, if we are either of those people at one time of our lives, we have to either grow out of it and learn the difference. Learn the difference that you can't sweat the petty things in life. You know, certain things are going to be what they are. And if you spend a lot of your energy sweating the petty things, it just steals a lot of your joy just the same, versus as being depressed or, you know, being angry. You know what I mean? That steals joy too. That steals time. You know what I mean? So we have to grow out of that and know and say, you know what, I'm not going to sweat the petty things. Like, I had a friend that put all this money into a vehicle, and you sit on the you slam the door too hard or you do anything, he about to have a heart attack because he didn't put all his money into this. And I'm like, man, I understand, you know, being, you know, protective of your stuff, but my goodness, you know what I mean? So sometimes, you know, I think that the stages that we go through, it prepares us for the people that we got to actually get positioned to be around. And it just comes from learning and being humble, experiencing life, getting something. You know, at a young age, I was able to experience a few things as a young man, you know what I mean? By the age of 16, I think by the age of 16, I was already riding in the Benz before I got locked up. I had got to that level of my hustle, you know, in Denver. I was staying in Denver at the time. And even though I lost it and went to prison and more things happened, I was able to see some things. I was able to see money. I was able to see money in a way that a lot of people wasn't able to get it. And I didn't fully understand it. I just knew how to get it. I didn't know how to invest it, but I seen guys getting vehicles and getting homes or getting businesses. So I'm like, man, I need to get me a little business and something, you know, like I was thinking it right. I had some examples of hustlers, but I got caught up in the game of robbing, you know, end up going to prison for aggravated robbery and drugs and terrorist act and aggravated assault, you know what I mean? And possession of a firearm, you know what I mean? So I spent 16 to 26 in prison because of the decisions I made by not having the right guidance, because I was just eager to get it. I was just hungry. And those who could guide me was actually, the only thing they could teach me was the hustle. But if I would be honest with you, you know, the full hustle isn't really what got me locked up. What got me locked up was the robbing too, because I had part of my peers that was into both, into the robbing, into the selling drugs, into doing whatever. So if things get bad or a situation or somebody just slipping, and we feel like, hey man, he don't deserve it, we'll take it. You know what I'm saying? It's just how I grew up like that. You know what I mean? So those decisions put me in a situation where I had to spend 10 years of my life in a cell. Not from my hustle. I knew how to get the bag, but I was willing to do whatever. And sometimes when you're willing to do whatever to get the bags, you put yourself in a situation. And it's not because of you petty. You just like, man, you ain't got no limitations. You ain't got no boundaries. You got to have some guidelines within yourself to say, you got to have some morals. Like, nah, man, I'm out here getting it. I'm not trying to take nobody nothing. You know what I mean? If I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it out the muscle. You know what I mean? But when you put one before the other, sometimes life happens what it is. So I learned about getting positioned by going through that. I had to literally go through that. I had to learn the difference. I had to be around people that really had it. I had to actually get something to not be petty. You know what I mean? To not trip about the petty things, and to actually get to a level where in my mind at one time I would have said I had it all, and then I lost it. So when you get to that point, it's humbling, man. It's humbling to get to a point where you got the picket fence, so to speak, and you got the 2-car garage and the dog and the nice house. You know what I mean? Everything. You got everything. You see what I'm saying? And then it's gone. So, I understand how a person can get there and then lose it all. And then so once you do that, it puts you in a position to think that, you know what? I know if I got it once, I can get it again. But then also, it makes you think like, I won't put things on no pedestal. You know what I mean? Like, you want to get stuff, but you understand the value now. You understand the value of time, the value of your loved ones, the value of your true friends and family. You know what I mean? Like, you would rather spend time and go out and hang out with them and be around them versus than just blowing some money. You know what I mean? But that's all a process of growing up, though. Everybody got their own process. But to get positioned, you're going to have to go through that. And to be humble enough to say, hey, you know what? I got to be real with myself, because you have to face yourself. You have to face your flaws. And that's the thing about it, because to get positioned to greatness, you're going to have to confront your flaws. You're going to have to confront the stuff you went through. You got to. Point blank period. You got to confront those things, because if you don't, you are not going to get there. You got to be able to be honest with yourself. You know how they say in AA, you have to face the things that you go through. I appreciate that. Salute. Thanks for checking in. My goal is just to shine some light on it, man, because I think that we don't fully think about it like that. And as I go through things in life, the best thing I can do is just share the process and what I have learned from being positioned, and what I have learned from my failures, and what I have learned from other people's failures, because we're going to learn from ours. And it's wise to learn from yours, but it's wiser and more smarter to learn from someone else's. You don't have to go through everything personally. Sometimes people think, oh, I got to go through this. You ain't got to go through everything personally to get the lesson, to get the blessing. You know what I mean? You got to see it and say, you know what? I'm not going left if left field taking them all down. It don't take no rocket scientist to figure out what's going on. Nah, I don't want to go that way because they doing this over here. I like what they doing. I'm going to go over there. You got to be able to be you and knowing who you are. And that's going to be a big thing too, because I want to say that, because you've truly got to know who you are. Yes, and hopefully we learn from our own errors, most definitely, because if you just go through it and you don't get nothing out of it, that was like vain time. I'm gonna tell you something. I heard of a story, and I know a person. I ain't gonna say I heard of a story, but I know a person who actually got married to the same person 3 times, literally. Like I'm thinking, like what you didn't learn the second time. Like surely the first time you might say, okay, maybe I give it. I can see that. But after the second time, we'll go back the third time and get divorced. Some things you just fully don't understand. Let me go back to your comment here and post them up here because kind of went kind of fast. I didn't get a chance to see it. Yes. Hey, I like the way you say that because in order for us to teach our kids generational wealth, in order for us to teach our kids longevity and the truth, we have to show them that they don't personally have to go through things. Like sometimes it seems like we unconsciously teach people you got to go through this to get the lesson from it, to get the blessing from it. You ain't got to go through it. You got to be wise enough to watch it and realize what's happening. That's why they say history repeats itself, because all you doing is calling it a different name. You know what I mean? Than what they did. They call it a bird with many eyes, with all type of eyes. We call them an airplane. You hear one now. You see what I'm saying? But they didn't know what that was. But they're like, man, this is a bird with many eyes. Think about it now. This is just history to show you how things evolve, So we have to get positioned by be willing to face our flaws, face who we are personally, because regardless of who you think you are, you know who you are. Regardless of, I always like to tell people that I know who I am. No matter how much air you try to put in my balloon, I got a hole in it. And I'm going to go right back to that size where that air stop. You know how you get one and it go and it stop right there? It'll seal that hole up. That's who I am. I know my flaws. And I know, just like Paul said, I have a thorn in my side. And no matter what I do, no matter how hard I pray, God never removed that thorn. And I think that thorn is to remind us that we are gods, but we would die like man. Because even he said that. He said, you are gods, but you would die like man. Because if we would live forever, then we'll be like completely gods. Because gods live forever. But if we have to perish in this life. So I feel like we all have something that we have to deal with personally. Some struggle, some childhood issue, because 9 times out of 10, most of our issues come from the past, So getting positioned is being able to deal with those issues, being able to say, hey, life is what it is, being able to embrace it and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do some amazing things, but I know I got to go through this right now. And it was crazy because I'm going to tell y'all the truth. When I made it to prison, I literally act like those first few days of before I got my time card, I can literally tell y'all we were just turning up in there. Like we was in a bar where, you can get everything. You got the hooch in there, you got the weed in there, and we was doing our thing, having fun, talking, we young, chopping up, telling stories, this and this. And family, let me tell you something. When I got that time card in the mail, and it said I had to do 10 years, and it showed me the date when I got, of my time, and the date when I get out, that was humbling. That was humbling to get a piece of paper that tells you got to do X amount of years before you even eligible for parole. Woo, that was humbling, family. That was some humbling stuff, man. And it had a nice number on there. 10 calendars. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest with you. That night, I literally, laid down and I thought about my past. I thought about girlfriends. I thought about my family. I thought about, things my mom told me. I thought about everything I experienced up to that moment. I shedded a few tears, fam. I'm gonna be real with you. I put that time card up. I ain't never look at it again. And I ain't never cry again. I had to let it go. Like, I had to realize right then and there, ain't no matter how much I kick, scream, holler, throw a fit, get mad, whatever I do from that point on out, it was not finna change that date on that paper. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't finna change that day on that paper, and that was humbling for me. Like that was very humbling for me. Most definitely. Yeah, man, it was something else, brother. It was something else because that situation taught me a whole lot. It taught me a whole lot. And during that time, y'all, I must have say, like, I had a video posted and they deleted my Black Phoenix page, which I just made another one. And I was gonna make a fight and redo it, and I know I could have got it back, got halved. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do a whole new thing. It's cool, forget it. You know what I mean? But I did a video saying that I was a survivor of the gladiator school because I survived the Verner unit, and it was called the Gladiator School in Arkansas. It was an Arkansas prison, pretty much for juvenile. I sent all the juveniles there, but it had a lot of older convicts there, and there was a lot of violence there, family. There was a lot of rapes, robbing. It was a lot of stuff I never would imagine. You know what I mean? You know, I watched people turn out their own homeboys. You know, if they was a weak link, they'll turn them out and keep them within them. Like it was some stuff that was just like unreal. You know what I mean? Like I watched and heard people say, "Please, could you slow down? Oh, you going too fast." I'm like, damn. Like I'm not. Hey, y'all, I can't make this up. This is things I heard. Like I'm laying down trying to get some sleep, and you hear things like this in the back, like you know. So you can imagine like the lifestyle of going through something like that, like being that age, 16, around these grown men, and most of them giving excuses on why they can do what they do because they, you know, well, I've been locked up for 20 years, son, 30 years. You know what I mean? I'm like, dang, like the longest person I met that was alive, I think that guy said he had did between 45 to 47 years, literally in the ADC and Department of Corrections, and I learned so much just from sitting down talking to this guy because he experienced and seen things in prison that I couldn't even imagine. You know, he grew up in there completely. He was an old man at this time, you know, getting old. And I'm like, man, you know, man, like all this time, you know. But you know what? It all goes back to what I said in the title of the video that we have to and and get in position for greatness, you have to go through certain things. I didn't realize that, you know, at times I didn't even think I was going to survive it because I felt like, you know, before I let someone disrespect me, I'm gonna die in there. You know what I mean? Like it's death before dishonor with me, family. I'm just let you know it is what it is. Like I'm not gonna disrespect you, and I'm not gonna let nobody disrespect me. I came a man, and I was gonna leave a man, and I made a bond to myself because I seen a lot of people didn't leave out the same way. It's a lot of us did, but there's a lot of people who didn't. You know what I mean? And I wanted to not only just leave out being a man, but I wanted to get educated. You know what I mean? So while I was down there, I got my GED. I went to Votech for combination of welding for 14 months. I went to small business management. I went to college for small business management and got my diploma, whatever they call it in there. I did that for like, I think 9 months. That was like a 9-month program. I did that, you know, and I gained other little certificates like AA, and I went through life skills, and I went through parenting class. Anything that I could do to gain some information, I went through. I had to go through pre-release too, when it was time for me to go home because I had did so much time. So I had to go there and get prepared for the world, so to speak. You know what I mean? So they pretty much say, "Hey, man, we done messed you up. We need to go detox you." If you think about it, that's pretty much what they said. We need to detox you because we to mess you up. You know what I mean? But I had to do that for 90 days. You know what I mean? I had to get detoxed for 90 days, so to speak. Yeah, man, that was a trip. You know, man, I had to get detoxed for like 90 days. And all of that experience, man, it was meant for me to go through that because it prepared me for so much. Like, I didn't see it at that time. But, man, y'all, I'm 40 years old right now. My birthday is in 10 days because it's day the 19th, right? So my birthday is on the 29th of March. I'll be 41. And I have had the opportunity to enjoy life. I can say I've been rich. I ain't never been, wealthy, but I done had some money. I didn't experience some things. I didn't, been with some pretty women. I didn't been places. Couple places I haven't been because I'm a felon. You know what I mean? I done did what I could do up to this point. But I don't want to perish just knowing that's all I done, surviving that. You know what I mean? Like I want to turn some people into millionaires. Literally, I want to do that. I want to be like, or someone else. Like I don't even have to say nothing because I don't want to see it. I want someone else to be like, hey, it was him that gave me this conversation, and we got money on this level. We invested. I want to make people. I want to turn people into millionaires. In order for me to do that, you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to be one, but not necessarily neither though. Think about it. But my goal is to be one, but my goal is to turn other people into one. Like I want to teach my kids generational wealth, and that in order for them to be free, they don't have to start businesses. Like my kids now, well, my oldest daughter got a job. I'm trying to transition her into being a boss, but she's a manager. You know what I mean? So and she got a side hustle doing hair. She went to school. So she went to school to do cosmetology, but she's not in the shop yet. So she still do hair, you know what I'm saying, from home. So she still got a little side hustle, but my goal is to position her to be a boss. Even my youngest daughter that's 14 now going on 15, and my son. You know what I mean? So my goal is to get them in a position where they can say, okay, I want to do this. And then we can make that possible because most of them want things. Ooh, I want this, I want that. And they're going to realize those things that they want cost money. It is what it is. And as we get older, we realize that when we kids, you know, we don't really understand it. So I think that it's good to get yourself positioned so that way you can, bless someone else. I mean, to me personally, that brings me satisfaction knowing that I didn't really inspire someone to get a bag or change their lives or got them in a position to do things. Like I enjoy that. That's cool with me. I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? I want to be comfortable. I want to, be able to go places and experience life, but I don't want to, necessarily just say I only did one thing. I want to be able to do a lot of things. Just like, I got people that hold on to one favorite car. That's cool. But I want to be able to say I had a lot of cars. I don't want to just have to say I had one. I got photos of many cars I own. And then I got rid and got something else. And said, oh yeah, I just had that one fixed up all the time. That's just not me. I don't knock nobody else for what they want, but that's just me, man. After being in the cell for 10 years, it just made me humble. To know that, hold up. As you see, I got people hit me up real quick. I let them leave me a message. But anyways, man, I have to be humble and really figure out what direction I want to go in and what you want to go in when you're finding yourself and getting position and facing whatever it is you have to face. You know what I mean? So most definitely, man, I just want to come through here and talk about, getting position in my time, the things I did, what I survived, because I think all of those things turn a person into who they are, what you went through, your survival. And everybody was meant to go through different things so that way it can build them. I got a partner who did 15 years. I did 10. I got another partner who just did 21. And he's home right now. I haven't got a chance to talk to him, so I don't know where he at here, but the few people that has talked to him said he all right. You know what I mean? So sometimes to go through some main things, man, you hit different levels, you're gonna make mistakes, man. You're gonna enjoy life. You're gonna indulge in life. You know what I mean? You're gonna do some things. Cause it's life. You blind. But as your eyes open, you tend to change and transform, and you tend to truly turn into something else. And a lot of the people that you love probably won't like that new person you are because they may was using you or you wasn't as focused or whatever the situation is. But whatever the situation is, I think that we really, really need to be humble and embrace the fact that life will take us down directions or paths that we choose. And a lot, growing up, we can't choose our parents. You know what I mean? We can't choose our parents. So having bad parents growing up, that's a misfortune. Not having a guide growing up, that's a misfortune, but you still can't allow that to keep you from being great. Found it? You feel me? Because that's your choice. You can't choose who they were, but you can choose who you are. And I think that when we're trying to teach our kids that and to give them more hope and to really find our way in who we are, we have to be humble to realize that fact, and just embrace that, hey, we're going to have to go through something. You're going to lose something when you go through something. But you're going to gain more on the other side. You know what I mean? So don't get sidetracked. Don't belittle the situation. Just embrace it and learn from it. Like I say, I'm aggressive with my hustle. But being in prison, I had to be also aggressive just to stay, because I'm around gorillas for real. Like, I slept around I was in prison with the West Memphis 3, if you're familiar with them. I was in prison with the blue light rapists. This guy literally talked to him, asked him questions. He just passed from COVID. You know what I mean? Like, I was locked up with some dudes, man, with some messed up, that made history in Arkansas. And one thing that I learned, they treated everybody the same. It was all on how you wanted to be treated, unless you was in the Supermax or on life. Had death row. If you had death row, then that's another thing. But if you was in population, then it was all on your choice. So getting positioned for greatness is embracing who you are, learning from your mistakes, learning from other mistakes, and willing to go that extra mile with yourself to find your purpose, because I don't know what your purpose is. My purpose is to be a millionaire. That's my purpose. That's what I want to do. I want to educate people to get a bag, to have a good life, to be healthy, to love God. That's my thing. I want to lead by example. And that's the only way I can lead by example, is doing what I do and coming organically. So I appreciate y'all from hanging out with me, man, for a little while. Just wanted to talk to you about that, because I literally feel like that's something that we really have to discuss. And I feel like that's something, in order for us to get to where we're going, we need to know that there's a process and there's a way you have to get positioned for greatness. Y'all be blessed. HogOn.